What's up guys, my name is Mr. Erdogan, you're watching Music with Mr. Erdogan. Today I'm wearing my Star Wars t-shirt, so that must mean only one thing. We're about to learn some Star Wars on the recorder. Alright guys, that was the entire version of Imperial March. Now I've arranged this version of Imperial March for you and a buddy to be able to play this at the same time. Some parts are exactly the same for both you and your buddy, but there's going to be other parts where one person's going to be playing one thing and the other person's going to be playing something completely different. So it's going to be kind of like a duet. Now you may have noticed while you're watching the intro, at the bottom of the screen there's three different main parts. Part A, Part B, and Part C. Now what we're looking at here is Part A. Now Part A I've broken up into four different parts. Part A1, Part A2, Part A3, and Part A4. A1 is the easiest and the shortest. A2 is also pretty easy and short. And then A3 and A4 are very similar, but they're a little bit longer and a little bit more tricky. So for now, we're just focusing on Part A, but we'll also have to learn Part B and Part C as well. And to help keep you on track, I'm going to have this little achievement chart down at the bottom, so you'll be able to see what part we're on and what part we've finished. Okay, enough talking. Let's get started with Part A1. Now don't forget to look over to the right side of the screen if you're having difficulty remembering how to play the notes. Let's try that again, a little bit faster this time. And again at full speed. Okay, now let's switch to Part A2 and play it at a slower speed. Once again, a bit faster this time. Now let's put Part A1 and 2 together. And now again at full speed. Now let's try Part A3. Now remember, Part A3 and A4 are very similar, but they're very difficult in comparison to A1 and A2. So you'll have to pay close attention to sharps and flats and the timing of each of the notes. Now let's try that again a little bit faster, and this time I'm going to open up part A4, and so we'll play them together at the same time, just because the only real difference between part A3 and A4 is the last two bars. The rest of it is exactly the same. Once again, a little bit faster this time, and this time I'll bring back part A1 and A2. And now, full speed. Now, if you've gotten this far and you've figured out how to play all of part A, pat yourself on the back because this is the most iconic part of the song, and this is the most recognizable part of the song, and playing this part for your friends is the part that's going to impress them. And now we can cross off part A on our achievement list. Now, if you want to stop at this point in the video, I wouldn't blame you, but if you're the type of person to really want to learn the entire song, keep going and learn part B and part C. Okay, so this is it for part B. It's not that long and probably not that difficult to learn. The hardest part about part B is going to be the eighth rests at the beginning of every single bar. So you're going to be starting every single bar on the upbeat, not the downbeat. And that's going to be a little bit difficult for you to get used to playing if it's new to you. Another tricky thing about part B is that it's supposed to be played in the background by one player while the other player is playing something completely different. So this is really where the two recorders split off and start playing different things. Okay, let's give it a try nice and slow. And again, this time a bit faster. And even faster. And now let's do it at full speed. Okay, so if you're now able to play that at full speed, we're now ready to move on to part C. Let's cross off part B from our achievement chart.
You have failed me for the last time.
Okay, here is part C and the final part that we need for Imperial March. Now I still have part B there at the top of the screen because we're going to need to use that in a few seconds. But part C is split up into three major chunks. And you may actually notice that each of those chunks is very similar to a part from part A. So part C1 is actually very similar to part A1. Part C2 is actually very similar to part A2. And part C3 is kind of a mix of part A, 3, and 4. And so now you can see why I named each of the parts the way I did, because there's actually a lot of repetition and it'll help you understand all the similarities between each of the parts. Okay, so if you've done a good job of already learning part A, part C will really be a breeze. So let's start by playing all of part C without any of part B, and then later on we'll bring in part B as well. We're going to slow it down a little bit, but not too slow, because playing those long notes will be way too difficult if we slow it down too much. Okay, this time we're going to do the same thing, except now I'm going to turn part B back on, and we're going to split into our separate parts. Okay, now you're going to do one round of part B together, then split into part B and C. Okay, and if you're doing alright so far, now it's time to bring it up back to full speed. And once again, we're starting with just part C. And now B and C, just like before. And just like before, one round of B, then splitting off into B and C separately. Alright, we just smashed part C. Now it's time to see if we can do the whole thing. Alright guys, that's it for today. Now, if you had any difficulty, as usual, just go back and rewind the video, watch it as many times as you need, and practice until you're feeling better about being able to play it. If you like this video, please hit that like button below, and while you're down there, go ahead and subscribe and smash that bell so you get notifications of when I'm sending you guys new videos. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next video.